Over the last 12 months, I tracked more than 40,000 predictions from over 160 UFC prediction channels on YouTube. And now, the results are in. In this video, I'll show you which channels had the most and least correct picks, and which ones gave you the highest and lowest ROI if you blindly followed all of their picks. But we're going deeper. We'll also find out which channels were the best at picking favorites and underdogs, based only on their picks in those categories, and who made the most profit from each. If you've ever wondered which UFC channels are the best and worst predictors, this is the video. Before we go into the results, let's have a quick look at the totals for this year and also compare the Oddsmakers versus the Tapology community and the YouTube prediction channels. Over the last year, there were a total of 509 fights over 42 events. In that time, I tracked 164 prediction channels and they made a total of 40,091 predictions. So, on average, each channel made 244.5 predictions. Out of those 40,091 predictions, 25,460 were correct for 63.5%. And 14,631 were incorrect for 36.5%. The favorite fighter in odds, according to the odds from the tail of the tape, which I use for all the results in my videos, won their fight 351 times out of 498, or 70.5%. 11 fights aren't counted because the odds were exactly even, or the fight ended in a draw, or in a no contest. And the underdogs won their fight 147 times out of those 498, for 29.5%. How much money could you have won or lost if you had placed a $100 bet on all the favorites or all the underdogs to win their fight, aka the money line? For the favorite fighters in odds, you would have basically broke even. And you would have lost $20 for a return on investment of minus 0.04%. If instead you would have bet all the underdogs, you would have lost $8,539 for a return on investment of minus 17.1%. So a lot worse. The favorite in picks by the Tapology community won 338 out of 507 fights, or 66.7%, for a return on investment of minus 2.3%. And the underdog in picks by the Tapology community won 169 out of 507 for a minus 14.6% ROI. And the favorite in picks by the UFC YouTube prediction channels won 336 out of 504 for also 66.7%. But they had a worse return on investment with minus 4.4%. So, in conclusion, over the last year, the oddsmakers were best at predicting the outcome of each fight. For this next part, for most and least correct picks over the last year, we will only look at channels that made a minimum of 150 picks, which leaves us with 99 prediction channels out of 164. Which channels had the least correct picks and were the worst predictors over the last year? At number 10, we have Drywall. He made a total of 339 predictions and 204 were correct for a correct pick percentage of 60.2%. In 9th place, we have MMA Bet Viper with a correct pick percentage of 60%. With 59.7% of picks correct, we have Santino DeFranco at number 8. So far, these three channels are pretty close together and sit around 60%. But number 7 almost has 1% less correct, which is Harbar MMA with 58.8%. In 6th place is the channel who made the most picks on this list, which is Baby Sharp MMA. He made a total of 450 picks and 262 were correct for a correct pick percentage of 58.2%. Opening up the top 5 with a correct pick percentage of 57.73%, we have Paul from the Dogger Pass podcast. And with almost the same correct pick percentage, we have his co-host Cody from the Dogger Pass podcast in 4th place with 57.69%. In 3rd place for least correct picks over the last year, we have Sean from the Running Mouth MMA show. He had 198 predictions correct out of 353 for a correct pick percentage of 56.1%. With a correct pick percentage of 55.8%, we have Sansu Tips in 2nd place. Although he is in 2nd place for least correct picks, he is one of the most profitable predictors this year, which we will go over later in this video. And in 1st place, the channel who had the least correct picks over the last 12 months is the Vince Jets. He had 199 predictions correct out of 361 for a correct pick percentage of 55.1%. Which channels had the most correct picks over the last 12 months? In 10th place for most correct picks we have Benny P MMA with a total of 386 picks, and out of those 257 were correct for a correct pick percentage of 66.6%. At number 9 we have Richard's Picks, and he had a correct pick percentage of 67.1%. With a 0.2% higher correct pick percentage we have King of Crackdown 5095 at number 8 with 67.3%. With 67.7% correct we have Hoppero MMA in 7th place. And in 6th place with a correct pick percentage of 68.1% we have Left Lane MMA. Opening up the top 5 for most correct picks over the last year we have MMA Data Guy with a correct pick percentage of 68.3%. And what's interesting about the 6 channels between 5th and 10th place is that 3 of them have a negative return on investment, although a small one, if you followed all of their picks. So having a high correct pick percentage doesn't always mean they're profitable. In 4th place is the channel that made the most picks of this top 10. With 338 correct out of 488, we have the MMA Fortune Teller in 4th place with 69.3%. In 3rd place with a 0.1% higher correct pick percentage for 69.4%, we have Jake Gerber MMA. And in 2nd place, again with a 0.1% higher correct pick percentage, we have Uncle Weezy with 232 picks correct out of 334 for 69.5%. And with a more than 1% higher correct pick percentage, in 1st place, the channel with the most correct picks over the last 12 months, we have MMA Lewis. He had 181 picks correct out of 256 for 70.7% correct. Congratulations to MMA Lewis and the rest of the top 10 for having the most correct picks over the last year. Links to all of these channels can be found in the video description. And here is the overview of all 99 channels that made at least 150 picks over the last year in order of highest correct pick percentage with their channel name, correct picks, their total picks and the correct pick percentage. And what's interesting, if we quickly look back at the totals for the 1 year results, the total correct predictions over all predictions was exactly 63.5%, which is also the same percentage we see in the middle of this overview. The list of the most profitable and unprofitable predictors comes with a few important rules. Only channels that made picks on at least 150 fights are included. Every pick counts, no matter the odds or confidence level. We pretend a $100 bet is placed on each pick to win their fight, aka the money line. To calculate the results, we use the odds from the tail of the tape, which are shown before each fight. And finally, rankings are based on ROI, return on investment percentage. At number 10 for the most unprofitable predictor over the last year is one of the biggest MMA channels on YouTube, which is The Weasel. If you had placed a $100 bet on all of his 354 picks, you could have lost $2,896 for a return on investment of minus 8.18%. With a slightly worse return on investment, we have the Sportsbook Killer in 9th place, with a return on investment of minus 8.2%. With an ROI of minus 8.3%, we have Lightning MMA at number 8. DFS by the numbers is in 7th place. He had a return on investment of minus 8.5%. In 6th place is High Kick Fight Picks, with a return on investment of minus 8.7% over his 177 predictions. Opening up the top 5 with a 0.1% lower return on investment, we have Cody from the Dogger Pass podcast with a minus 8.8% ROI. And his co-host Paul is in 4th place with a return on investment of minus 9.3%. And in 3rd place we have Tiger Bomb MMA with a minus 9.8% return on investment over his 482 picks. And with a much worse return on investment, in 2nd place we have Sean from the Running Mouth MMA show. He made 353 picks for a minus 12.4% return on investment. And in 1st place, the channel that was the most unprofitable over the last 12 months, if you had followed all of their picks and placed a $100 bet on each of them to win their fight, is the Finch Chats.
It is I, Finch Chats, the worst UFC predictor in the YouTube space,
with a loss of almost $4,500 over his 361 picks for a return on investment of minus 12.5%. Which channels could have made you the most money if you blindly followed all of their picks and placed a $100 bet on each of them to win their fight? At number 10 is A-Train from Premium Picks, with a profit of $585 over his 257 picks for a return on investment of 2.3%. With a 0.1% higher ROI, we have Kunant in 9th place, with a 2.4% ROI over his 504 picks. At number 8 is Benny P MMA. Over his 386 picks, he had a return on investment of 2.7%. With a 0.3% higher return on investment for 3%, we have MMA Ethic in 7th place. With a 20% higher return on investment for 3.6%, we have Bet Sam in 6th place, with a profit of $1,718 over his 473 picks. Opening the top 5, we have MMA Lewis, and he had a return on investment of 3.8% over his 256 picks. And with a 0.3% higher return on investment for 4.1%, we have Jake Gerber MMA in 4th place. And in 3rd place, with a 5.2% return on investment, is Sansu Tips, the channel that was in 2nd place for the lowest correct pick percentage over the last year. So how did he end up so high with such a low correct pick percentage? You will find that out later when we look at the best predictors for favorites and underdogs only. In 2nd place, with a 0.1% higher return on investment, we have the MMA Fortune Teller, with a profit of $2,591 over his 488 predictions. And then, the channel who was the most profitable predictor over the last year, if you had placed a $100 bet on all of his picks to win their fight, is Uncle Weezy. And he had a return on investment of 7.7% over his 334 predictions for a profit of $2,584. So, congratulations to Uncle Weezy and the rest of the top 10 for being the most profitable predictors over the last year. You can find links to all of these channels in the video description below. So how did most of these channels end up in the top 10? Was it because of their picks on favorite fighters or on underdog fighters, or both? We'll find that out up next when we go deeper into the results and find out which channels are the best predictors with their picks on favorites and underdog fighters only. But first, here is the overview of all 99 channels that made at least 150 picks over the last year, in order from highest to lowest return on investment percentage. Next up, we're breaking things down even further, starting with picks on favorites only. Which channels had the highest correct pick percentage and which ones had the best return on investment. Then we'll do the same for underdogs and reveal which channels are best at spotting value in underdogs. For the most correct picks and profitable predictors on favorite fighters only, I've only included channels that made a minimum of 100 picks on favorites. At number 10 we have Fight Fiend Forecast. He made a total of 349 picks on favorite fighters in odds, and 258 of them won their fight for a correct pick percentage of 73.9%. At number 9 is Bedtime MMA with 74%. With 74.2% correct, we have Benny P MMA at number 8. A-Train from Premium Picks is in 7th place with 74.5% correct. Uncle Weezy is in 6th place and he had 74.6% correct with his picks on favorite fighters. In 5th place we have Jake Gerber MMA and he had his picks on favorite fighters only correct 74.706%. And I had to go to a 1/1000th of a percentage point because sharing 4th place with the exact same correct pick percentage, we have Jacob from We Want Picks and Kunat with 74.713% correct. In 3rd place we have Bet Sam with 250 correct out of 333 for 75.1% correct. In 2nd place is MMA Leaked with 75.5% correct. And the channel with the highest correct pick percentage for favorite fighters only over the last 12 months was The Ice Files. He made a total of 214 picks on favorite fighters and 162 of them won their fight for a correct pick percentage of 75.7%. So, congratulations to the Ice Files and the rest of the channels in this top 10 for having the highest correct pick percentage with their picks on favorite fighters in odds. Links to all of these channels can be found in the video description. And here is the overview of all 104 channels that made a minimum of 100 picks on the favorite fighter in odds, with their correct picks, their total picks and the correct pick percentage. Out of those 104 channels, which ones were the most profitable with their picks on favorite fighters? At number 10 is Uncle Weezy with a 2% ROI. With 2.1% at number 9 we have MMA Lewis. With 0.1% higher for 2.2% we have MMA Ethic at number 8. In 7th place is the MMA Fortune Teller with a 2.4% return on investment. With a slightly better return on investment of 2.5% we have Brando MMA in 6th place. Opening up the top 5 we have Fight Fiend Forecast with a return on investment of 3.06%. And with a slightly better return on investment we have Kunat in 4th place with 3.13%. And then also very close in 3rd place we have the Ice Files with a 3.2% ROI. In 2nd place we have Bet Sam and he had a return on investment of 3.4% with his picks on favorites. But the channel with the highest return on investment with picks on favorite fighters in odds only over the last year is Jacob from We Want Picks. He picked the favorite fighter in odds 261 times and had a return on investment of 3.5%. So congratulations to Jacob from We Want Picks and the rest of this top 10 for being the most profitable predictors with their picks on favorite fighters. Links to all of them can be found in the video description. As you can see, this top 10 is pretty close with only a difference of 1.5% between the number 1 and number 10. Up next we're gonna look at the underdogs and there the results are not close at all and we see some big differences between the top and the bottom. But first, here is the overview of all 104 channels that made at least 100 picks on favorite fighters over the last year with their money won or lost and return on investment percentage. For this next part, for most correct picks and most profitable predictors on underdogs only, I've only included channels that made a minimum of 50 picks on underdogs. At number 10, for most correct picks on underdog fighters only, we have Coach from Premium Picks. He picked the underdog 65 times and out of those 65, 28 of them won their fight for a 43.08 correct pick percentage. With a slightly higher correct pick percentage of 43.14% we have MMA Data Guy at number 9. At number 8 is King of Crackdown 5095 with 43.4%. At number 7 we have A-Train, the other host of Premium Picks, with a correct pick percentage of 44.1% on underdogs. Just Win Baby MMA is in 6th place with 44.4%. Opening up the top 5 we have Richard's Picks and his underdog picks were correct 54.6% of the time. In 4th place we have Sun Tzu Tips, the channel who was in 2nd place for the lowest correct pick percentage overall. But with his underdog picks, he's one of the best and has a correct pick percentage of 47.4%. In 3rd place, with a slightly higher correct pick percentage of 47.7%, we have the MMA Fortune Teller. In 2nd place, we have Knockout Picks. He made 59 picks on underdogs and they won 29 times for a correct pick percentage of 49.2%. And in 1st place, the channel that was the best at sniffing out good underdogs is Uncle Weezy. His underdog picks won 40 out of 76 for a correct pick percentage of 52.6%. So congratulations to Uncle Weezy and the rest of the top 10 for being the best underdog pickers over the last 12 months. Links to all of these channels can be found in the video description. And here is the 1-year results overview of the best underdog pickers with the correct picks, their total picks and the correct pick percentage. Which channels are the most profitable predictors with their picks on underdog fighters only? Let's find out. At number 10 we have R Parks. He picked the underdog 86 times and had you placed a $100 bet on all his underdog picks to win their fight, aka the moneyline, you could have won $790 for a 9.19% return on investment. With a slightly higher return on investment of 9.23%, we have King of Crackdown 5095 at number 9. Utica from Bros Talk MMA is at number 8 with a 9.5% return on investment on his underdog picks. Brandon from the Santino DeFranco podcast is at number 7 with 9.7%. In 6th place is Just Win Baby MMA with a 10.2% return on investment. So far, number 6 through 10 are very close with only a 1% difference. But we have a big jump in return on investment at number 5 with the MMA Fortune Teller, because he had a return on investment of 15.6%. In 4th place we have Zlatan's Fight Picks with a return on investment of 16.9%. And with another pretty big jump in return on investment percentage, we have Sun Tzu Tips in 3rd place with a 22.2% ROI. With a 0.4% higher return on investment, we have Knockout Picks in 2nd place with 22.6%. And in first place, the channel who was the most profitable predictor with their picks on Underdogs with an almost 10% higher return on investment is Uncle Weezy. If you had followed all of his 76 underdog picks and placed a $100 bet on each of them to win their fight, you could have won $2,386 for an excellent return on investment of 31.4%. So, congratulations to Uncle Weezy for being the most profitable predictor on Underdogs and the rest of this top 10. Links to all of these channels can be found in the video description. And here is the 1-year results overview of all channels that made a minimum of 50 picks on Underdogs, with their money won or lost and the return on investment. I hope you all enjoyed the 1-year results video and found it informative. If you did, then don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest prediction breakdown videos for every UFC event and results videos. And if you want to support the channel and motivate me to keep making videos like this one, consider becoming a supporter on Patreon or a member on Buy Me a Coffee. I would appreciate it a lot. Thank you all so much for watching and see you all in the next video.